morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning to you. I hope your week went well. I'm looking forward to the weekend. You guys know my son graduated college and his graduation party is this weekend. So also don't forget, on my other channel, my videos from Italy are dropping. You don't want to miss those. So we have a lot of stuff to cover today, a lot. Let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're starting off today with Princess Beatrice, who attended the FEVO Sports Industry Award at Evolution London on May 15th, looking gorgeous. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. We're moving on to Princess Anne, who was in Northern Ireland visiting Derry, Londonderry, and she undertook a number of engagements after going on a tour. And these may not be in the correct order, but bear with me. One of the first things Anne did was visit the Cathedral Youth Club in the Fountain. This hub was awarded the King's Award for Voluntary Service in 2024, and Anne met with service users and young leaders at the facility, which serves to foster good relations across the city. After this, to mark the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Atlantic, Princess Anne met with Navy personnel, veterans, and their families, and she viewed the International Sailor statue on Ebrington Square. The River Foyle was a huge strategic importance during World War II. At some point, Princess Anne was welcomed at the Ebrington Hotel in Derry, where she had an afternoon of tea to help mark the anniversary. She met staff and she viewed the gallery displayed in the clock tower. There were photos of naval officers and maps. And then in the final engagement, she visited the Clinical Translation Research and Innovation Center, which is a state-of-the-art medical research facility in the city, and Anne met with staff involved in the project aimed at improving care in the community. This clinical research facility is a collaboration between Western Health and Social Care Trust, Ulster University, Derry City, and Strabane Council. All right, let's move on. Zara Tindall on the 15th of May had her 44th birthday, and Mike put up this absolutely gorgeous picture with a little caption, "Happy birthday to the better Tindall." Love it. All right, next up we have Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. They were walking around the stalls and shopping during the Royal Windsor Horse Show at Home Park, which is at Windsor Castle. This also was on May 15th. FYI, this was the very first day of the Royal Horse Show, and apparently this annual show has been hosted on the grounds of Windsor Castle since 1943, and it's being reported it was a personal highlight for Queen Elizabeth II. And these two are frequent visitors, and they make the short journey up from their Bagshot Park home in Surrey just to join in and watch the fun. Now, they're visiting here just days before Prince Edward has to leave for some key duties. And that key duty would be going to watch the new Pope be invested into his spot. Somebody from the royal family has to go. I think he's an excellent choice. And in case you guys didn't notice, keep in mind that this is the brother of the king. Okay, the brother of the king, son of Queen Elizabeth and Philip with his wife, and they don't have this huge ring of security around them. They're simply walking along with each other, having a great time, and you don't see all the security that Harry is requesting. You guys know what I'm saying. These two only get security when they're on royal duties. This was not a royal event, therefore they just went and had a good time, obviously. It's all that security is not necessary unless, of course, you're absolutely paranoid. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Sophie was wearing. Let's move on. Let's move on now to Charles and Camilla. They went to Bradford to celebrate the city's cultural status. Lots of crowds to greet them. Now, again, I don't know if everything I'm saying is going to be in the correct order. I think they did some stuff together and then they split off and did their own thing. Or it might be vice versa, but let's just see if I can get through it all. So one of the first things that the two of them did jointly was watch a rehearsal by local school pupils at Bradford Live. The rehearsal that they watched was by local pupils, and it was called Sing, Dance, Leap, which is an educational program run by Northern Ballet and Opera North across the city. They also joined a reception with local artists and young people who were supported by the King's Trust, including Stephen Frayne, formerly known as Dynamo, who managed to change all of the Wi-Fi names. They showed it. I don't know how he did that. There were magicians and all kinds of really cool things going on. And then, of course, the two of them unveiled a plaque. Fabulous. Then it was time for them to split off. So after they split off, Queen Camilla, as patron of the Literacy Trust, went on board the Bradford Stories bus, which is a bus that has been converted into a traveling literacy event space, helping children to read and write for pleasure. And after that, the Queen went to visit Bronte's birthplace in Thornton, West Yorkshire, which the Queen officially opened. It's the first time the public has been able to view the site. We know that the Queen is an avid reader, and the Queen's reading room previously featured Emily Bronte's classic Wuthering Heights. The Queen wrote on one of the cards, "Be more Bronte." Now, this cottage is where all the Bronte children were born, and it was recently purchased for the community and transformed into a cultural and educational center. And, she unveiled the plaque. Love it. Now, the King was seen at the David Hockney Gallery, where the first thing that happened was somebody gave him a big old hug. I think that's absolutely adorable. Look how personable he is. He's absolutely personable. Now, this gallery is dedicated to the artist's life and career, and the King met people involved in grassroots cultural activities and local community groups. So the King was at the Impact Hub Yorkshire, which provides support to businesses finding sustainable solutions to social challenges. And there was a tailor, Iman Khan, I hope I'm saying that correctly. The tailor hugged King Charles, but then the King helped him stitch a special label onto the garment, which, by the way, is being sent to Buckingham Palace from him. If you look at the end of the video, it clearly shows what the label says. I think that's fabulous. Now, I have to be honest and say, if what Harry said about the King was true, he would not be running around like this looking all spry. I just think this is just a fabulous thing. Now, also, while he was there, he saw some art in the gallery, and he also saw a performance by the Bantam of the Opera Choir, which is a local Bradford City football club, and they were taught to sing opera by BBC Radio Leeds during Bradford City of Culture Year. I think that's wonderful. FYI, while the King was there, he gave an update on his cancer treatment. He said he thinks he is on the, quote, better side of his cancer journey. I think that's a wonderful thing to say. And one of the people that was there said that as a cancer survivor, he spoke openly with King Charles about their experiences. I love that Charles can talk about it. All right, let's totally switch gears here. Joan Collins, you guys remember her? She was Alexis Carrington in Dynasty. She is 91 years old. She is Dame Joan Collins. And apparently, she is pictured for the first time as Wallis Simpson. There's a new biopic being done of the American divorcee who became the Duchess of Windsor after she married King Edward VIII following his abdication. So there's a new film coming out on his final years. And in the images for the movie, which by the way is titled The Bitter End, Dame Joan's hair is perfectly coiffed to look like Simpsons classic style. The photos were taken on the grounds of Villa Windsor, which is the Parisian town home where Simpson and her husband lived. Now, this film is going to talk about her twilight years because apparently her lawyer took control of her. By 1977, the attorney was not only the representative for Simpson, whose health basically left her confined to her bedroom, but this attorney took advantage of this lady's memory lapses and physical weakness and got rid of all of the other attorneys. So he had full control of her when she finally died in April of 1986 with dementia. She couldn't even speak. And the attorney died 8 years later in 1994. And it was just announced that the Game of Thrones actors Charles Dance and Harry Potter star Miranda Richardson are going to be part of the cast. That's so cool. I'll be watching that. All right, let's move on. I definitely want to watch this. All right, really quickly, the clickbait stuff is coming out. Oh, Meghan gives first ever look at bedroom she shares with Harry, and this is the picture. Dirty ass looking floor too. Moving on. You know, all of this stuff is being done as a diversion so that you won't realize what's really going on in Harry and Meghan's life. But the Sun had something. I want you guys to listen to this because I think this explains it perfectly.
Meghan is the biggest paparazzi in Harry's life. It didn't need to be all out there, but what I know is that she was trying to absolutely flood all the media channels with those photos to detract from the Ring camera photos. That is very obvious because she was posting all weekend. I mean, we didn't need to see them at the Beyonce concert. Harry wasn't even there for Archie's 6th birthday. There's clearly trouble in paradise, and she's trying to cover it up, and she thinks that we are stupid enough to fall for that crap. I mean, I'm not going to fall for a photo of her smiling with Harry and a video reel of them kissing. The facts speak for themselves.
Who took the pictures, Matt? I mean, did they take their own photographer with them?
Well, I'm assuming they did.
Well, I mean,
some of them,
as Samara said, it's just contrived, and that'd be interesting to know who took them. It wasn't bylined. I never saw anywhere. I never saw anybody photographer's name on any of the pictures.
it may well be one of their team with a smartphone because smartphones
probably,
are great these days. But it really has been a week of of contrasting pictures, as you just pointed out there. We've got the doorbell camera of Harry walking up and down the street, and then you've got this carefully curated set of Instagram photos.
All right, next up, I have an update on the whole Beckham story with Harry and Meghan. Remember, I told you yesterday that, all the stories came out saying that Harry and Meghan invited them for an intimate dinner and they were, trying to be pals with them and trying to shore them up. Well, some more information has now come out. So here's what actually happened. There was a dinner with VIPs and film executives. For instance, Meghan's friend, whose husband is the head of Paramount, they were in Jamaica together and she was on the Netflix show. Well, apparently they were all at this dinner. It was a bunch of VIPs, and it was somebody else who invited Brooklyn Beckham and his wife. They were invited after it was cleared with Harry and Meghan. It's also being reported now that they had planned to be at this event before the Beckham feud blew up. So it seems like somebody ran to the press with this story to try to get their names in the headlights, but that's just not, the way it actually went. All right, let's move on. All right, we're going back to that book, The Secret Life of Royal Servants, and it's being alleged that after Meghan met Catherine for the first time, she said that she was wonderful. She said that during the engagement interview. I've shown you that before. And then Harry goes, William was amazing as well. Fantastic support. The whole family have come together and have been a huge amount of support. But in the meantime, one of my subscribers reminded me that this guy is a sugar who totally supports Harry and Meghan. And I do remember seeing months ago the 5 major revelations from this book and thinking to myself, are you kidding? Because one of the revelations was supposedly that Catherine treats William like the 4th child. Bull crap. Meghan's the one who's neutered Harry. They also pointed out that Meghan was flirting with William a lot. Look, even back then, the claw was in use. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, Gettr, Rumble, email, my Amazon wish list, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale, and a link to my second channel, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.